Hey traders, checking into the stock market today. So we have some nice tightening ranges. There was a crystal clear setup for the morning and then an end of day setup in the other direction. I'll go over how I traded it and we'll see where we stand big picture. So today was the kind of day for me where everything was just crystal clear as far as the most likely scenarios and just pinpointing things and nailing just flow state. And I probably took maybe 25 different orders of scaling in, scaling out. Sometimes I would scale out a quarter. So that racked up a bunch of trades. But it was the kind of day where definitely an ego inflator, and I didn't make, a ton of money. I probably made 10% of what I made on my LABU swing trade earlier in the week. But it's the kind of day where if you give me any open-minded skeptic of technical analysis and you stick them in the room with me today, and I can show them what I'm doing, there is no way that anyone could doubt that it works, because it's not just like one or two trades where you get lucky. It is just absolutely pinpointing everything on fire, and I would look forward to the opportunity to do that sometime. But they have to be open-minded, because if you get a closed-minded technical analysis skeptic, you could literally hit them in the face with the proof and it wouldn't matter. So open-minded is the most important aspect. I used to try and convince people that were skeptics, like, no, look, let me show you. And now I just smile and nod. So Nasdaq, why was today an easy day? Because the most likely scenarios played out in both directions. So we had FOMC volatility. After volatility, we look for equilibriums if the ranges are big enough. So yesterday we had the reaction high. We had the reaction low after the dump into the end of the day. And then we had a big bounce overnight. And so I woke up this morning and said, okay, well, very clearly I'm looking for a 4-hour lower high. The probabilities that we V-shape bounce to a higher high are extremely unlikely. And at that point in time on the morning, we had already bounced very significantly. I'm establishing my game plan right here, 7, 8 a.m. And I'm saying, okay, well, we've already bounced a retracement size of 55% or so. So I know two things. Number one, definitely looking for a lower high. That 1 hour time frame is extended. It's almost a straight up move. There's a couple little levels on the way, but not much consolidation on the way up. And number two, once we top out, I'm going to scout a 4-hour high or low. Why would I scout a 4-hour high or low? Because the bounce retracement was over 50%, creating the space for that 4-hour high or low. Now, after hours, we are shaping up that potential 4-hour high or low, and it has to do with Apple's earnings reaction. It's a bullish earnings reaction, nothing huge, a couple percent, but the entire market did respond to that in the after hours session here. So I'm heading into the morning knowing that I'm looking for that lower high. And I'm not going to go into a full trade review here. I'm going to try and do it tomorrow, just its own specific video, how I scalp trade, and go in depth, because I wrote out in the chat room step by step as I was doing things. I'm looking to exit half here. I'm watching out for the 2-minute rising wedge. I'm expecting an hourly high or low, and just going into really in-depth detail. So I have to be inspired to do it. I can't just force Inspirato. You can't manufacture Inspirato. Where did that come from? Free course. That quote. You'll just Google it and I'll still do it. Free course. If I'm inspired, I'll do it. And if I remember it all well, I'll do it. But ran out of time today. So Nasdaq, 4-hour, we're looking for that equilibrium. And the direction that it breaks is going to have very significant implications. If it breaks bear, it's a daily bear flag testing the low. If it breaks bull, we're going to test the high of the FOMC reaction. Those are two completely different scenarios. So tomorrow, we may not get an answer before the end of the week. And if the bulls show up a bit more overnight, then we could stay within this tightening range tomorrow. It all depends on where we are set to open pre-market. But this is something that we're certainly watching very closely. And it's the same on the S&P 500 futures chart. 4-hour, trying for the higher low, wide range, and it's tightening up. So again, tomorrow, if we open with a gap down near the lows, I'm going to be looking for a potential bounce play. If we open up near the highs, I'm going to be looking for a short. I have no allegiance whatsoever. I know that I'm a better bounce trader than I am at shorting. I can make money shorting, but I make more playing bounces. But I don't care what direction we go. I don't care if bulls, I like it when the market goes up, because I know there's so many people that just get anxiety and retirement and all that. That's definitely weighing on me when the market dumps, even though I'm not losing any money. But as long as there's this volatility, this volatility is just great opportunity. And I'm still looking at that biotech sector, which we'll get to in just a second. So 4-hour equilibriums, we'll see where we're shaping up to open tomorrow. Bear flag confirmed on SMH. Very notable weakness compared to QQQ today. So that bear break of 257.24, we will see if it has any follow through. Tons of space for an hourly lower high. So again, if we open higher, bears are just scouting an hourly lower high entry tomorrow morning. Next support level after this 257 low, we're looking down at 247.45 as a monthly level. That's our monthly higher low. And that is an important level from here. Tesla, non-reaction to earnings, very bearish reaction after the bell rang. So daily downtrend following through, 2-week downtrend following through, lower high, lower low, monthly losing, well, no, actually take that back. We're right at EMA 12. So we're keeping an eye on that. And the next major support zone is down in the 500s. So that is a ways away. And the downtrend is just going to be our guide. We are hitting first daily oversold conditions from all-time highs. It's not your ideal back burner. My ideal back burner bounce is coming straight off that all-time high. And this big bounce makes it a less probability. It's not as high of a probability. And we know it's going to be subject to what the broader market is doing. But the Tesla bears are in complete control. And again, another name with tons of space for an hourly lower high. Let's look on Netflix after those earnings reactions. Netflix absolutely dumped. Bullish reaction to Ackman having $1 billion position now and watching the oversold bounce play out on the Netflix. And clearly they stood out as a lead bull today on the back of that news after the bears ran out of momentum. Pretty much bear exhaustion, little bull news. Some shorts get trapped. Anybody that was short the last 3 days is now underwater. Bulls must get over 409 to get into gap fill territory if this bounce is going to follow through. Healthcare sector still a potential daily bear flag. We did break the high of the FOMC reaction, which is notable, but no follow through, which keeps the bear flag a possibility. Financial sector. So financial sector also broke the high of the FOMC, but also broke the low of yesterday. So I am viewing this as low of the drop, high of the bounce. And again, that's a 50% plus retracement. So we have space for a daily high or low to try and form anything above 36.82. So that's going to be key because this is our best bouncer. And if our best bouncer rolls over to lower lows, definitely a big uh-oh for market bulls. If we hold that high or low, we'll be looking for a tightening daily range next week. IWM, bear flag confirming, dropping to a lower low. 191.23 support broke. Daily RSI cooled off. It went from oversold 24 back above 30, and now it's back to oversold again. Weekly RSI is not oversold just yet, but it's getting very close. And again, we're in an area with a lack of support. Next level is 189.15, and then there's a lack of support under that level. There's 189.15, and then we're looking down at 184.97. So bears in full control. And this is my gauge. This is a key gauge for me because as long as IWM is weak and a lead bear, that shows a risk-off environment. That shows fear in the market. If IWM is leading the way on a bounce, that shows bulls are confident throwing their money back in the market again, and they're choosing the most beat-up names. So a lot of times when there's market fear, people go for the blue chips or the dividends or the defensive sectors. When we start seeing highest risk sectors, most beat-up names, seeing notable follow-through on a bounce, that's telling for us as far as market fear disappearing. But obviously that's not the case right now with that fresh lower low. And our new hurdle now, our new line in the sand, is a clear 203.55 daily lower high resistance. Biotech sector, same thing, dropping down to 85.31. We didn't break it. It's a double bottom at the moment, but I love it. Get as beat up as possible because we will see a weekly oversold bounce, and that weekly oversold bounce will be 15%, and that means the leverage ETFs will go 45%. You know my style. I'm not just scaling in because of RSI levels, but just like that last bounce, which went really well, as long as the daily and the weekly RSI levels look as they do, I will be playing bounces on the way down, and I'll also be playing bearish. You know, this morning I was only one track mindset for the bears this morning. So I'll play in both directions, but give me another flush down, give me an hourly RSI in the low 20s, and I scout bounces looking to put myself in break-even, risk-free positions to try and benefit from, again, you look at this bounce and it looks tiny, but that's a 30% bounce on LABU. There's tons of opportunity in both directions in this sector. I will make more of that opportunity on bounces because that is my style, but patient. I'm not swinging any positions. I'm in no rush to do anything. Just watching to see what the market gives us. If we have a bottom fish play tomorrow off of this double bottom, I will look to make an attempt at it. But it all depends where we open. New clear resistance, 95.62. And again, RSI levels don't really matter a whole lot as long as the broader market is weak. We're looking down at 89.24. That broke. So we're in an area with a lack of support. 62.79 is the next major level. That's the COVID dump low. And again, I want the carnage because the faster and harder you drop, the better the V-shaped bounce once it gets going. CMPS stopped out break even when the low of, what's today? Thursday, when the low of Tuesday broke. So stopped out, didn't lose anything, and just patiently watching. We're on the verge of new all-time lows. So as long as we're in a downtrend, again, I'm not going to try and catch a falling knife. If I get a clear setup where I can get in a low-risk attempt, I'll make it. But MNMD giving back a significant amount of its news bull move. So again, this sector is certainly not ready. It is as high risk and high reward as possible. Same as the MJ sector. We're going back down towards those lows as IWM and our growth names continue to lead the way to the downside. Dollar, still strong, up at the highs. Big breakout, monthly bull flag confirmed. And again, I am not confident metals if the dollar is strong. Absolutely, the metals held on well compared to the dollar over the last, aside from pretty much before the FOMC. But again, we just set the 2-week lower high. So this rising wedge played out perfectly. And again, it's not the kind of thing where I could look at this 2-week time frame and say, I'm confident that we're going to reject and set a lower high and remain within a tightening range for another month or two. I couldn't say that, but it could be enough. It was enough to keep me from a bullish position. Just not liking where the dollar stands, and the possibility is there for a continued tightening range. Checking in on silver. So 2-week lower high, certainly shaping up, and we are range bound. Tightening ranges for me means trade less, be patient. When the tightening ranges break, then I'll be interested. And so now we're just looking for further tightening. Another clue was the weakness in the miners. But again, it was just all enough to keep me out. Not enough for me to go bearish, but it's the dollar. Again, the metals, if they're going to break out, it will be on the dollar setting a 6-month lower high. What else we got? Natural gas. Nice recovery. 4-hour equilibrium bull break. And daily significant move up still. We still haven't changed the daily trend back to the bulls, but our weekly higher low is set. And we're now looking back at 495 as the bulls attempt to change the weekly trend to try and follow through with the monthly bounce. And then from there, we would scout a monthly lower high. The number one best thing that happened to my trading career was scaling in and scaling out, knowing that I am not going to nail tops and bottoms. Yesterday on the FOMC reaction, I was live streaming. And again, when I'm live streaming, I figured out today, I was trying to think, I was able to type out my scalping, what I was doing easily in terms of play-by-play. And I was thinking, why can't I do that easily when I'm recording a video? It's because I've been trained for 7 years of making 7,000 videos. The dead air is bad. I'm talking the entire time, and my mind is just constantly going as far as it's just freestyling. It's freestyle rapping, but making content. And so when you're trading, there's a ton of dead air. There are minutes that go by where it's just silence. And I have put it together that that's a reason that I struggle to record and to be able to very actively talk about what I'm doing, because there's just these long pauses where I wait 8 minutes before there's anything to update. But I'm going to work on getting better at that. But my point is scaling in and out, because on the FOMC reaction, I tried to top fish and QQQ hit a higher high by a tiny amount, but it was enough to stop me out. And again, that's me trying to nail a top with one position. If you are trying to nail tops and bottoms with one position, your probabilities of doing so are very low. Even myself, 11 years in, I don't nail tops and bottoms. So here, I tried one order. If I had tried 2 orders, if I made an initial entry and then said, okay, if we get one more higher high, I'll add a second entry and then place my stop level based on an amount of dollar risk, I would have had a huge win. But because it was only one order, that was my one attempt, I was distracted doing other things, I stopped out right at the top. only had a tiny loss, but missed out on a big win. And then today, if I was only doing one position and trying to nail the top, I would have stopped out on QQQ, and then I would have been right on the 4-hour lower high. Instead, I made probably 6 different trades in here. And I made an initial entry, then I take a little profit, then I re-add it back, then I take a little profit, then I re-add it back, then I take a little profit, then I set a break-even stop and let it play out. So I didn't learn to do that until 7 years into trading. And it made all the difference in the world. When you combine that skill, scaling in and out, with recognition of multiple time frames and how they overlap with each other, that is power as a technical analysis trader. So if I know I'm looking for that 4-hour lower high, this is a rising wedge. The bull breaks are lacking follow through. I know I'm scouting a 4-hour lower high, so I'm scouting a 2-minute rising wedge to potentially pinpoint that 4-hour lower high. If you just show me this chart on its own, I don't have a whole lot of confidence. But if I know the bigger picture and I know the most likely scenario, it makes all the difference in the world. And then at the end of the day today, I was able to make a decent win on this little 7-minute bull move. And it was because it was a falling wedge. And again, you show me that falling wedge and you don't give me any context. And I say, okay, well, it's more likely to break bull than bear. But if you don't give me any info, it's the 4-hour. We're looking for a 4-hour higher low. Okay, that increases the probability that this is going to break bull for me by, let's say maybe it was a 55% chance when I have no context. You give me that 4-hour chart and show me this 2-minute falling wedge, I take that 55 and I bump it up to 75. In terms of 75% chance, we're going to get a bull break there. Granted, it didn't get any follow through, but made my bullish entry, scaled out 1, 2, 3, 4 positions, and had a solid win at the end of the day. I love falling wedges because I love wedges in both directions because they allow for maneuvering to be risk-free. I showed you that XBI bottom fishing where I did 3 in that one day. Buy the support, sell half, stop under the low. Buy support, sell half, stop under the low. You build a position up with no risk. And obviously the risk is that it's a falling wedge that breaks bear, and then you stop out at a day maker loss perhaps. But in this instance, at the end of the day, I was just doing the same thing. I see a bear break with no follow through. Okay, I'll play off that support. And then we get a little bounce. I'm just anticipating that lower high. I sell half. And then another hold of support. All right, I'll add it back. Stop under the low, risk-free, money. So I will do my best to put out that video tomorrow midday. Just in-depth scalping. But I hope you're well. Do good things. 4-hour equilibriums on the futures charts are the guides from here. So picking up adventure time, back 5 years ago when I was in Costa Rica. It's Friday, so we've got a sour brown from New Belgian Brewery in town. So at nighttime in Costa Rica, all the creatures would come out. And from the last video, you could see that the spot we were staying in was very exposed to the elements. So the bugs and the critters were always coming inside. And it was not uncommon to have a scorpion in the bedroom or a crab in the kitchen. And the bugs at night would come and be attracted to any lights we had on. So the geckos would all hang out around the lights and they would just feast on all the flies and the bugs that would land near the lights. So that was fun to just watch every night. Some more different little iguana guys. Dan in the beach. Cowboy wondering what's going on. Baloo. Very comfortable with her new guardians. And just more incredible beach sunset. There was a moment where we were floating in the water and the sun was looking like that. And I said, if life is a trip, I'm peaking right now. And that's pretty much how I felt in terms of just perfection, alignment of everything. And someone posted on the other video, you know, the fact that I made money while I was at this place and came back with more was likely a direct result to being so in line and so in tune with everything that was going on in terms of being in the zone. That was it. And being able to get yourself to that place, things just seemed to work out. Banana trees were all around. And again, we would just get fruit right from the yard. I mean, you had unlimited mangoes coming out of that yard. This was a neighbor's puppy, and this little dude just looked like he was stoned every single picture that you can take of him. But he was a cute little dude, and it was fun to watch him interact with Baloo, who was pretty much a bigger version, and kind of get shown the ropes, roughed around a little bit, but that's what it's like on the street. So for story time here at the end, I've told this story before, but if there's a resume of my life, or a life resume and what I'm good at, what I would list, it would be technical analysis, farming, rock hopping, and breaking up dog fights would be, and ping pong. Ping pong's up there. But breaking up dog fights is something I've done a lot. When I was on the farm in Maine, we had 2 female dogs that were not spayed. And so they did not accept, I mean, most times with animals, they accept their pecking order instantly. It gets determined very quickly, and that's that. But when there's 2 animals that do not accept it, there is constant posturing and battle for that top spot. And we had this dog who was we had 2 Australian Shepherds, and one of them would just herd the other one and just walk straight behind it and literally be right on its back legs wherever we went. And every now and again, the one who was getting followed would just get fed up and say, nope, this is going down right now. And they would go at it and draw blood. And, you know, there were times where I would have each of them in a headlock and they would still get out and go after each other. And it never got to the point where they would bite us. So I was never, you know, scared of that, but they were intense. So in this instance, we were in the water one evening, just like this. And Baloo and Cowboy were out, and we didn't have her collar on, which was not good. But Baloo and Cowboy were on the ocean, or on the beach by the ocean. They didn't really like coming in, so they would hang out and wait for us to come out. And these 4 big dogs that looked like they just came off a Siberian mountain came out of the woods, and they were fine. They were just walking along, and they walked over, and we left the water to go say what's up to them. They looked like some really cool dogs. I don't know what breeds they were. They were giant and fluffy and probably very hot in Costa Rica, but there were no red flags. I have a very good sense of reading animal body language through my experiences on farms and things like that. And there was no red flags. And out of nowhere, one of them just snapped and got Baloo on her back real quick and had her jaws around Baloo's neck. And so I was standing right there and instantly ran as fast as I could straight up to her. And that's the kind of thing where you don't even think about it. It's just adrenaline, instant reaction. And threw all my body weight into the dog and nailed my knees into its back hind legs, pretty much into its butt. And that surprised the dog a lot. And so it yelped, and I, you know, threw it to the side, and then Baloo got up, and Baloo tried to go after the dog, so I had to keep them separated. And then my buddy picked up Cowboy and said, "Heads up, Dan." And I looked up, and there were 4 dogs just surrounding me, all staring at me like they were just waiting to determine what the next move was. And for a second, I thought it was about to be a battle royale. But fortunately, they stood down, and their companion limped off. And I felt really bad because I definitely hurt that dog. But saw it the next couple of days, and it was limping, but didn't break any bones or anything like that. So that was a big adrenaline rush, and certainly a fun story to relive, but glad to protect Baloo. And after that, we had this bond where she knew I was alpha, and there was this instant unspoken respect where it's like, it's hard to describe, but she knew I had her back, and that was a fun moment. So that's it. USMJ video tomorrow. Although I guess this video is going to be at the end of the USMJ video too. So now we're getting all Inception-like. Have a good weekend. We'll see you next week.